Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you are. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. As always, I appreciate you being on. This is Blake Newbar's High Performance Call. My name is Andrew David. I have been an entrepreneur longer than I've been an entrepreneur. And what I mean is that even when I was an employee, I knew I wasn't meant to be an employee. I have had a lot of awesome things that I've been able to accomplish in my life. And I've had a lot of things that absolutely humbled me, dropped me on my face, messed my face around in the mud a bit and said, hey, dude, chill out, relax. You've got some growing to do. Now, we've all had that. I know we have. Everybody deals with the BS as well as the positives. Now, during this time, in order to work on me, I decided that the biggest investment that I could make and where I wanted to spend most of my time was investing in myself. And part of that came about because I figured real quickly that I wasn't built for regular academics. I didn't know it at the time. Like when I was in high school, I read more often than I paid attention in class, and then I would just pass my tests, right? Pass them with flying colors, did fine. And a lot of us did, because high school, let's all be serious. Most of high school isn't super challenging, and they make it that way because they want you to get through. And then, I went and I was a missionary in Brazil for a couple of years. I did some college before that. I came back and I got into college again, and it just wasn't me. I was sitting in so many of these classes, and yeah, I do my homework and I do my test and my grades were all right, but I was just, maybe it's me being stubborn. Maybe at the time it was me thinking too much of myself, but I butted heads with a lot of the professors, not simply because, not that I felt that I was smarter, but I like challenging and asking questions. And I know a lot of you guys do, but what about this? And what about that? I just like getting different points of views, never really fully playing the devil's advocate, but, I want some more information. And I think a lot of times in my life, I would start to learn and start to gain a little momentum and start to move things forward a little bit. And then something would happen. I'd fall on my face and I'd have to start over. And then I got into business and similar things would happen, whether as an employee or running my business. I would get things going, and you start to move. And then, you wake up and you realize you haven't really gotten anything moving at all. You just piled more and more and more on your plate, and you got busy, or you got close to breaking through and never got there. It's one of the things I hated when I was working with my ex-father-in-law, and we had this business. Anytime I would start a meeting, we would start meeting with prospective clients and prospective referral partners, and he'd want to know every single thing. And he would start to make sales projections based on the initial meetings. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation like that. You have the first meeting and you have a couple of those, and then they go, man, next month we're going to hit this much, and we're going to do this much volume. We're going to do this much volume. And then some of those things just don't work out. And then you allow that to deflate you. And it's because in your mind, you begin to create this idea of what things are going to be without actually having the foundation yet or putting the pieces in place, or you're trying to juggle too much. And so something falls through the cracks and it doesn't work out. And you go, what happened? Look, dude, I had one conversation with the guy at lunch, and all of a sudden you were putting, $50,000 in volume next month. I don't know what to tell you. Projecting where you're going to be, creating goals and creating momentum to attain those goals isn't the easiest process to learn, but there is a process that you can put in place. Michael, you posted in the Skype chat today that you've got all of these different things. And I've talked before, and I think part of our momentum, I may need to revisit a training I did a few months back on ADHD and entrepreneurship. And because of the stigma that's involved with ADHD, and realizing that, no, this kind of is and can be a superpower if you understand it the right way. If you understand who you are, how you react, what's going on, and where to focus, and how to bring that focus in so that you can actually achieve something. But part of this comes to how do I identify where I'm at? How do I figure out where I'm going? How do I create momentum? And then how do I maintain that? And understanding that momentum in the right atmosphere can be considered an asset. something that we can have, something that we can cultivate, something we can invest in, something that we can grow. That's what an asset is, right? It's something that pays us a dividend. Momentum can be an asset, but if you don't treat it the right way, momentum can become, what's the opposite of asset? All you financial people, it's a liability, and it can derail us. And so you have to understand how this works, because there is a science behind it. Momentum is not just a feel-good thing. It is not just, hey, I want to get excited about it. Momentum can be an asset. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. So there's cycles. Momentum, guys, is cyclical. Now, what you have to understand, what I've kind of learned, what I've seen, and then researching this, and I'm, like I said, I'm going to develop this out a little bit more. We're going to get into some of this today. I'm going to continue this on Monday. We're going to build this out. And then once the full training is done and I record it, I'm going to give you guys access to that full recording. These recordings you'll get, but once it's all done up. So the momentum cycle. Momentum is cyclical and naturally will flow up and down according to circumstances. Okay. Now, this is your efforts, the leads indicators, and what I'm talking about here is at the front end of the cycle, things that are leading into the cycle, right? The market, work, family, all of these things. The goal is to be able to manipulate the cycle so that you're constantly staying at the just before breakthrough point with an upward pull. Okay. So I want you guys to imagine times in your life where you've been close to breakthrough and you've had momentum. Things are going right. Does that make sense? Can everyone picture a time in their life where they've had momentum, things are going well, and you're moving forward? Can everyone picture that? Okay, I want you to imagine that time. I want you to imagine, when health was going, things were going all right. When you were doing the things that you needed to, and things were just clicking. Okay. So the key to this and understanding momentum and how to utilize it truly as an asset is figuring out how to maintain that position right before the breakthrough. Because a lot of times what happens once you get through that breakthrough is you lose some of the momentum. Things slow down and now all of a sudden there's a little bit of chaos again. Momentum is organized chaos. Momentum is taking chaos and shoving it into a fire hose and pushing you forward to accelerate your growth. Okay. So it's kind of getting in with momentum. It's leveraging this little spot right here, right before we get to that top, right before you hit that breakthrough and you push through. So I have here 4 to 6 week cycle. This is variable and I'm going to play with this. So there's a cycle involved with things. So it starts with you kind of have very little going right, but you're doing a bunch of stuff. We all can imagine those moments. I got a bunch of stuff going on, but nothing seems to be clicking. Now, there's a delay between the lead indicators and the lag indicators. So I'm going to discuss more of some of these on Monday, but there are indicators where, hey, I'm moving into momentum, and there's lag indicators where I'm moving out of it. Okay. Now what happens is a positive result starts to come through, which is going to accelerate the growth. So with your business, it's a ton of engagement on a handful of posts. It's a few sales start to come in. With health, you start losing some weight. You get new personal bests with certain weights that you're able to use at the gym. It's, something at work, a few projects that you do go well. It's a series of consecutive days with your partner where things are happy and peaceful and there's love there, right? So that stuff starts to happen, and that it starts to accelerate the cycle. Okay. Hey, this effort that I'm putting in is paying off. It's not just I'm doing all this work and nothing's happening. Now stuff starts to feel like, I'm putting in the work, but I'm getting some results. Then there's a flood and everything you do works. Okay. How many of you guys have experienced that? Things are just clicking, I'm doing it and it's working.
Yeah.
I want to tell you right now, I want to promise you guys, if you haven't experienced that, you need to partake in this challenge right now that we're doing, an accumulation challenge where you're doing something every damn day so that you can start to build some momentum, right? It's a series of challenges that you give yourself, anything. And this is why it's important. Michael's talking about how, And I'm just singling you out because what you posted is just so in line with what I was talking about, my man. But
Right.
you're saying you're struggling to come up with a challenge.
Yep.
Part of this becomes clarity in where you want to go. But look, just picking anything right now, and this is why it's not a set, like it doesn't have to be this big thing. Push-ups aren't going to get me, when I first started this, I didn't start it going, man, if I do this many push-ups, I'm going to make more money next year. But you know what, Michael? Doing these push-ups is going to make me more money next year. And some of you guys are going, what the hell are you talking about? What I'm talking about is I'm not at day 21. For me, I'm at about day 35 every single day doing this, steps and push-ups, and I haven't missed, right? And I've extended where I'm going to get to. I'm not doing a 30-day. I'm not doing a 45-day. I'm not doing a 60-day. I'm going to keep this rolling for a while. Now, what is that doing? Every single day, I'm giving myself something to do, and I'm doing it every day. And so that confidence, that self-confidence is building. The ability to say, look, I can give myself a task that at first I thought may have been menial, that I thought, hey, this is going to be hard to do, where psychologically some days I've just gone, I don't really want to do this. Physically, some days my body has gone, what the hell are you thinking? You shouldn't do this. But what I'm doing is I'm overcoming each one of those things. And so I'm at this point right now where there's momentum, where other things are clicking. Now, we got a cool guy coming on a call this next week. Can I say that that's directly attributed to me doing push-ups? Some people will argue no. But if I look at the series of things that are happening, certain decisions that I'm making, certain actions that I'm taking that I may not have done otherwise, that little bit of a confidence boost here and there, I can pull it back and go, yeah, I think the fact that I got up on that Stairmaster despite not wanting to do it for the last 40 freaking days is directly related to what I'm being able to do each and every day. I think the fact that I'm having phone calls with a handful of guys that I've been wanting to connect with for the last, sitting on my couch texting back and forth with certain guys that, I was sitting in the audience like this, just in awe of just a couple of years ago. Yeah, I think part of it is directly related to the fact that I'm not allowing myself to just pile on more shit. I'm just getting something done. So part of this challenge that I'm having you guys do right now, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just got to be something that challenges you. And especially if ADHD is one of the obstacles that you have, and most of us do. And I'll do a training, I think, again, this next week. We'll dive back into that because it's so important to understand how this works, because there's different levels, but overly focusing on certain things, right? Hyper-focusing. We become scatterbrained on certain things and hyper-focused on others. Giving yourself one small thing that isn't necessarily exciting, right? Push-ups aren't exciting. Stairmaster isn't exciting. Going and doing 20,000 steps a day isn't like, oh man, I'm so excited to go do this. I guarantee there's moments where Kurt's just shaking his head going, damn it, I've got another 1,200 steps to do. And yet he's going and doing it. And some of you guys doing the same thing, whether it's Stairmaster, it's push-ups, it's curls, it's 15-minute workout, it's meditation, whatever it is. But at the end of the night, when you lay your head down and you go, I did it though. Every single night, I did it. I did it. And you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to do it again. Momentum is caused by a series of actions and all of these things. So as we look at this, right, there is a variable delay between the front and the back end. It's different for everybody. But then here's the thing. You get this feeling that everything is working, but guys, it's just not the reality. The truth is not everything works, but you feel like it because the results are there and it's justifying what you're doing. So you start to create momentum. We're just looking at things a little differently. I'm in a momentum phase right now. Right? I don't think it's a bad thing to, notice it. I want to nurture it because momentum can become an asset for me. Okay. I know there's things that are going on right now that aren't perfect. And yet, as a cumulative whole, the efforts that I'm putting in across the board are leading me forward in the direction I want to go. So there's some laws with momentum here. You've got to work on it. It doesn't just happen. Okay. You have to build it. It isn't going to naturally accumulate on its own. Once it's built, you have to consciously maintain it, nurture it, develop it, or it will run out. Now, even if it runs out, guys, great news. You can come back because it's cyclical, right? You can get it again. When you lose momentum, you have to work to get there, to get the same results. Momentum is science. It's not just an abstract thing. And yeah, there are things that you can do to have momentum to keep it. And there's also things that you can do when you've lost momentum to get it back. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you different ideas of what you can do to create momentum. We're going to talk about the lead indicators. We're going to talk about the lag indicators. Has this been helpful at all, kind of looking at things right now?
Big time.
Yeah. Okay.
Very much.
Here's what you guys are going to do between now and Monday. Because before I give you how to maintain momentum, how to develop it, and how to maintain it, before I give you that, I need you to identify several times in your life where you've experienced momentum. Okay? You're going to have to find some times in your life where you've experienced momentum. And if some of you say, well, it was hard or it's difficult, then you need to start to do things like this much more often, like your accomplishment list, because you're not giving yourself enough credit for the life you've already lived. Because damn it, you're here, you've overcome a hell of a lot more than you give yourself credit for. So I guarantee there are elements, there are times, there are moments in your life where you've experienced momentum. And I need you to, and we're looking for positive momentum, because there's absolutely times when you can allow momentum to become a liability, but we're looking for positive momentum. So part of your exercise between now and Monday is to list a handful of times. Now that could be 3, it could be 5, it could be 10. Guys, I don't care, really. But this is where it's on you. If you do the exercise, you do the stuff that we're going to talk about today, stuff we're going to talk about on Monday. We're going to get more in depth with some of this stuff. I want you guys so mentally, emotionally, strategically tuned up that you hit Friday and we have Gay Hendricks on and he drops bombs and it just boom, that momentum, and you just launch into the stratosphere. That's what I want you to do over the course of the next week. Prep yourself. So create a list of what you've done and what moments in your life you've had momentum. Along with that, maintain the efforts on your challenge. If you haven't started, then pick something, damn it, and do it. I don't care. And if you start something, don't just go, oh, that's not enough, I'm going to change it. Don't do that. Pick it and stick with it every single day. It's not as much a challenge of, how far can I get? It's, am I going to follow through every day with something that's a little challenging? That's all that is. As you begin to generate momentum, it's why some of the goals that I've got continue to increase. Now, I'm not getting crazy with it. I saw a report the other day of a guy who set the world record for amount of push-ups in a year. It was over 1,200,000 something. It's like 4,000 push-ups a day. That's bonkers.
God.
That's crazy. But I'm pushing a little bit more each day. Guys, find your challenge and do it. If you're already doing it, maintain it. Work. If you've surpassed it already, keep going. And if you haven't started, start. But write a list of certain things that you've done to experience momentum in your life. I want you to kind of look at not just, hey, this was happening, but think about steps that you were taking. Think about what was going on in your life. Think about how you felt. Think about, the way that you were talking, who you were dealing with, how you were dealing with people. Look at the overall circumstance. Okay. And then on Monday, we're going to dive into how to experience more of that again, how to create a system, a process that will allow you to turn momentum into an asset for you on a continued basis, to recognize where you're at in the cycle and how to start yourself each and every time that you need to. Okay. On that note, guys, go out, have an amazing weekend, rock and roll. As always, rise from the ashes, fly like the phoenixes that you are. Everybody go have a good day. I will talk with you on Monday. Take care. Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you